You ever look at your investment account and just get that sinking feeling that you should be doing better? Well, it's a super common feeling. And you know what? For most people, it's absolutely true. So today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and, way more importantly, give you a clear system to fix it.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. Look at this gap. Year after year, studies show the same thing. The stock market, the S&P 500, it averages around 10% a year over the long run. But the average person investing in it, they're lucky to see about 4%. That is a massive difference. We're talking about more than half the potential money just gone. So what on earth is going on here?
Now, the first thing you probably think is, oh, I must be bad at picking stocks, or I don't have some secret Wall Street info. But here's the thing the research shows, clear as day. The real enemy isn't a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of discipline. It all boils down to a few predictable and totally fixable human behaviors.
And here they are. These are the big five. The classic mistakes that experts have been warning us about for decades, and they are just as dangerous today as they've ever been. Let's really dig into each one, because understanding them, really understanding them, is the first step to beating them.
So, let's start with the first two, which are basically a package deal. They're driven by those two incredibly powerful forces in the market: good old-fashioned fear and greed.
This chart looks so simple, but it describes the single biggest, most destructive mistake in all of investing. When the market is on a tear and everyone's getting rich and it feels like it's never going to end, that's when greed kicks in and we just pile money in. But the second the market turns and the headlines get scary, fear takes over and we panic and sell everything. And the result is, well, you end up doing the exact opposite of the one rule everybody knows by heart: buy low, sell high. We literally get it perfectly backwards. We lock in our losses right at the bottom, and then we're too scared to get back in while the market recovers without us. It's brutal.
All that buying and selling in a panic leads us straight into mistake number 2, overtrading. Look, constantly fiddling with your portfolio, it feels like you're doing something, like you're in control. But usually it's just your emotions driving. Every single trade costs you money, and every trade is another chance to mess up. It sounds crazy, but the data doesn't lie. Doing less often makes you more.
All right, let's get into the next couple of mistakes. Now, these are a bit more sneaky, but man, they are just as dangerous. I like to call them the ego traps. So on one side, you have overconfidence. It is so easy after a few good stock picks to start thinking, hey, I've got a special gift for this, mistaking a bit of luck for pure genius. And right next to it is its close cousin, ignoring valuation. This is where we fall in love with a company's story so much that we convince ourselves the price doesn't even matter. And hey, if you ever feel that overconfidence starting to creep in, just remember this one humbling fact. The vast majority of professionals, we're talking people who do this all day, every day, with huge teams of analysts, they still can't consistently beat a simple market index. That should really give you pause. In investing, humility is basically a superpower.
And for anyone who thinks the price you pay doesn't matter, let me tell you a little story. Go back to 1999. Everyone knew Amazon was a game-changing company, and you know what? They were right. But if you bought that stock at the peak of the dot-com bubble, you lost 90% of your money. 90%. It then took over a decade just to get back to where you started. The lesson is simple. A fantastic company can be a horrible investment if you overpay for it.
Okay, on to our final mistake. And this one might be the toughest to avoid because it is beamed into our brains 24/7.
That constant, screaming waterfall of financial news, it's literally designed to do one thing: make you feel like you have to do something right now. But here's the secret. 99% of that noise has absolutely nothing to do with your long-term plan. Honestly, one of the best skills you can build as an investor is just learning how to tune it all out.
So let's recap. We've got buying high and selling low, overtrading, getting too confident, ignoring the price tag, and reacting to all the noise. They're all wired into us. They're all emotional. So, how in the world do we fight back? How do we defend ourselves against, well, ourselves? The answer, the antidote, is surprisingly simple, but it is incredibly powerful. It's a written investment policy. Think of it like a constitution for your investments, or a contract you make with your future self. It's a set of rules you create when you're calm and logical, specifically to stop you from doing something dumb when the markets get crazy and you're not.
So what actually goes in this thing? It doesn't need to be some 100-page document. It just needs to answer these basic questions. What are you saving for? How long do you have? How are you going to split up your money? And here's the most important part. What are the specific written down rules for when you will buy more and when you will sell? You have to write it down.
And that's the whole ballgame right there. You are building a system, you're making your biggest decisions ahead of time so you can take your emotional brain completely out of the equation before it even shows up to the party and starts breaking things.
It really all comes down to this one powerful idea. Successful investing doesn't come from having a crystal ball or some secret inside tip. It comes from having a solid, disciplined system that you can actually stick to when things get tough.
Because at the end of the day, that's the real question every single one of us has to answer. Investing is a lifelong battle. It's your rational plan versus your emotional gut feelings. And the goal isn't to get rid of emotion. I mean, that's impossible. The goal is to build a system that's stronger than your emotions. So is yours?